This meeting is called to order. This is the November 6, 2025 Board of Voter Registration and Elections of Beaufort County regular board meeting. Can we stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is public comments, and seeing no public present, we'll move on to the next topic, which is the minutes from the meeting on October 15th. And if we can just take a moment, please, because I didn't see these prior to the meeting. Oh, you sent them weeks ago?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. In that case, I did. Okay, Mr. Swicky corrected me. He had sent out the draft notes previously. So do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes?
Aline Mitchell, so move.
Okay, second?
Second.
Ms. Johnson, any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next on the agenda are committee reports, starting with Mr. Backer for Budget and Finance.
No report for this meeting.
Okay, I have a question though, Mr. Backer, and perhaps for the next meeting. I just want to confirm three things that we've discussed previously will be in the budget for FY27. So that would be traffic control expenses for early voting at the Bluffton Early Voting Center and here at 15 John Galt. So we have to make sure we have in the budget either paying an internal county public safety department or if we need to pay a third party. Second is that we have insurance in the budget, and I'll talk a little bit more about the insurance later, but the total cost that should be in the budget at this point is, call it $18,000. And the third one, which perhaps will be addressed later in this meeting is, and perhaps we have more time, but it's whether or not we need new machines or devices for 2026. Okay, next is the Facilities Committee. Mr. Ford?
No report for this meeting. I will get in touch with Beverly to see when she's available, and I will find out from Liz and Mike today when they're available for a meeting later this month.
Okay. And a question for you, or perhaps Mr. Robertson, about the right-of-way area that's sectioned off out front and the lot over there. Do you have any idea what's going on?
Not yet.
That was the third topic I was going to talk about at the meeting, but if you're going to address it now, you
Okay.
Yeah,
can.
not yet. I'm talking with Audra, and she said as soon as she has any more information or whatever, she'll let me know about that. But right now, we're not sure what's going on exactly. Only thing we know is that they're making a causeway from this side, this part of John Galt to the other part of John Galt. They're going to actually put in a little paved asphalt strip in there. And I take it is for whatever they're planning on doing over there, but we don't know what that is yet.
So a walkway or a road?
No, street, road.
Okay.
In the utility right-of-way,
Right.
right underneath
All
the
of that
power
isn't-
lines.
All of that isn't the utility, some of it is the actual owner's property, but the place where you see those two sets of ribbon or whatever, they're gonna put something in there, a street, basically.
Okay, next is Legislative Affairs Committee. So I have nothing to report. However, I would like to give a heads up that we should have a meeting between now and the end of December. So I'll send out a note and ask people's availability.
Yeah, because along with that, in reference to Kalawasi, that's going to be legislation, so we're going to need to try to come up with how we want to frame that. I got to call Will Roberts to see, what we would need to do to get that in, because he might go ahead and do it for us if that's what we want to go ahead and do.
Okay.
So that's something else to discuss with that.
Okay, next is the Rules Committee.
No report.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is unfinished business.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh,
can I just make a comment from the Finance Committee? I think it'd be good if we could schedule a meeting maybe early December after you get all the November expenses in and can kind of tabulate all the proper timing.
Would it be possible to do that before the December board meeting?
Yeah, I would hope we
Yeah,
could do that.
we should be able to. I don't know, I mean, all of this one should be in there. Yeah, all of the elections should be in there, but yeah, we can definitely have it probably before the next.
Okay, unfinished business. So I have one item related to the insurance. So we've talked about two types of insurance for the board, one being general liability insurance and the other one being a directors and officers type insurance. The D&O policy is actually for the type of board that we have. It's called Public Officials Management and Employment Liability Insurance. And that has been selected, and an invoice has been approved and gone through accounting. I don't know whether it's been paid yet, but it has been approved. So that'll be binding. I'll let you all know what date that was binding. On the general liability insurance, we were unable to get quotes from the commercial market. We still have the option for the tort policy from the South Carolina Insurance Reserve Fund. I have a couple calls into the county's risk management office to discuss what, if anything, we should do to proceed with purchasing GL. So that's still an open item.
Can you please repeat what the DNO insurance is actually called again?
Yes, it's called Public Officials Management and Employment Liability Insurance.
Thank you.
And we have a policy from North Point. The cost is $6,160.72.
That's a quote, right.
That's the invoiced price for 1 year of coverage.
6,100 and
6160.72.
okay.
That's all I have on insurance. Any questions? Okay.
Question. Has it been determined by risk management if liability insurance is actually needed for?
That's an open item for discussion with risk management. I have spoken a few times with South Carolina IRF, and for the 46 counties in South Carolina, the liability insurance coverage is all over the place. I think there are 9 that have standalone coverage from the IRF, but their coverages are very inconsistent because the number of people covered seems to include staff. So it may be redundant with the county's insurance. So I think at this point, we really need to rely on risk management's expertise to determine what's best for our board. Keeping in mind that everything that our board does, well, the decisions that our board makes that touch the voters, all of those activities are performed by county employees using county assets, which are all covered under the county's SCIRF. So, again, we need to depend upon risk management to help us identify the potential risks to the standalone board for things that are not already covered by the county.
When will there be a final decision made on this? This has sort of been, we've been talking about this for a couple of months now. Have they given us any ideas of when they're gonna be able to make a determination?
Well, the D&O part is finished, so that was half of the issue. The other half is general liability. I am waiting to hear back from risk management about that. I would like to establish my own timeline and say, let's make a decision before December 1st. We do have a valid quote pending for $10,900 for tort insurance from the South Carolina Insurance Reserve Fund. So we're ready to go. We just need a decision from the county on that.
It's just that the liability is, in my mind, is more important than anything else. And if folks expect us to be able to perform our job and in a public capacity, we need to make sure that we have the proper protection for us personally. Otherwise, it can be very difficult to get people to serve in these capacities if there's no liability coverage for them. So someone needs to see this as being as critical as I think all of us do. I know it definitely has some impact on my decision as to whether this is a type of board I want to be a part of. So I would hope that they would understand the urgency of it.
Agreed. Okay, any other unfinished business? Okay, next section, new business. The only new business I have is I would like to schedule a hot wash discussion from the November 4th election. So the objective is to just capture observations while they're fresh in everybody's mind, what worked, what didn't work. And we would like to have an emphasis in this hot wash meeting on learning and improvement, not any blame or fault finding. So I'd like to make a motion that we schedule a hot wash meeting for the board members who supervised polling locations on Election Day.
Second.
Will that be considered a meeting or not a meeting, the hot wash? Because I wasn't involved in the election process, and I don't want to attend a session that doesn't really impact me if I don't have to.
Yeah, that's a good question. So Wendell, could you have somebody look into that, whether the hot wash meeting is informal, it still needs to be publicly noticed if we have a quorum, and would that count as a meeting? And the board members who participated in the November 4th election were Beverly, Liz, Jim, and Aline.
I have a question. If, for the hot wash, if it is something specific that would benefit all of the areas that would be affected, and those changes could be shared with all of the pickup centers and drop-off center. Have to have a meeting where they have to notify the public, or could we just share that and then it's shared with all of the board members, because it could probably affect their drop-off center also. The one major one that happened on Tuesday night, that would affect everybody, all of the centers. So instead of having calling a board meeting where we have to notify the public, I'm just trying to figure out, because
We'd have to anyway.
I know that one thing that could benefit everybody.
You know the lights?
The light is one thing.
Sorry, I don't want to talk
Okay.
about the
Okay.
specific
Yeah.
issue. So let's,
Okay.
Aline, if I could address that. There were 4 board members directly involved in the election on the 4th, so they form a quorum. So this hot wash would have to be publicly noticed, and I would encourage every board member to attend as an observer or a participant if they like. So we will publicly notice it.
When this is going to be?
Well, that's the next step. We would have to
The
decide
only
a date
reason
to
I'm
do
asking
that.
is because December is a busy month. Busy month for,
So I
I know for
recommend
me-
that we talk about a specific date at the end in section 11, but there was a motion made and a second to call for a hot wash meeting. Are there any other comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Okay, any opposed? So one abstention. Mr. Ford, did you abstain from a vote there?
I'll vote for it.
Oh, you vote for it. Okay, so it's unanimous. Okay. Okay, any other new business? All right, with that, we'll go to the director's report, please.
Very short, couple of election updates. All right, just some information. Early voting did take place the 10/20 through 24, and 27 to 31, with an active eligible voter count of 29,788. We had an early voter turnout of less than 0%. Okay? So we had 76 voters in Bluffton, 177 voters, for 253 between the two early voting sites for the election. And that did come out to less than,
How do you have
So you're
less
saying-
It's
than
less
zero?
than 1. It's less than 1%.
less than one, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
It was 0%. I'll put it like that. Yeah. Okay. All right. As far as the election itself, with the active eligible count of 29,788, we had a turnout of 4%. On election day, with 1,452 ballots cast. But we had a total of 163 absentee ballots for the return of 21 that came in. And overall turnout of 1,705 for a percentage of 5% for the entire election on election.
So Wendell, that slide will be updated, right, to show the overall turnout of 1,736?
All right, we had a hand count audit on yesterday, and we audited precincts Port Royal 1 and Bluffton 5B, and both precincts audited exactly in conjunction with what came out on the results tapes. From the tablet, results tapes came out the same with the hand count. Okay, now to our miscellaneous updates. We will be having, or SCARE will be having its 49th annual conference on 27th of January through the 30th of January. Going for the goal, strengthening elections through training, connection, and communication. Currently, we have 9 staff going and 5 board members as well. This year's theme will be the Olympic Games, and they're celebrating teamwork, collaboration, the shared pursuit of excellence. So get your costumes and stuff together for the Olympics. Any questions on that, on the SCARE conference? Okay, we will be sending out our new voter registration cards. Since the election is over now, so we're going to want them to have them out. So these will have updated locations that we did not use in this election. You know, we'll be able to go to those in the future, especially for June, as well as what we're looking at. We're trying to schedule some opportunities to visit and access possible new polling locations at the Pearl Apartments. Pearl Apartments, those are, Mr. Sawicki, it would affect USCB 1, 2, 3, I think 1, is either 1 or 2, we would try to move over there if we get them. Pearl Apartments are over there by,
Quality Inn.
yeah, Old Quality Inn. They do have if I remember correctly, they do have a major meeting room in there. I don't think they adjusted it, but we are gonna go over there. But I realized they were still building. I finished, gonna approach them. And then the other thing we all spoke about in the last board meeting as far as Kalawasi. And once again, speaking with Will Roberts, who works with the South Carolina Revenue and Fiscal Affairs, if talking with him, hopefully he may be able to go ahead and push that for legislation to go ahead and get that moved. I think y'all said 60 houses move the line.
Well,
Whatever.
yeah, whatever the qualifier, whatever needs to be done to create a precinct, a Chichester one that is all of Kalawasi and not including.
Yeah, so, and
But I think before he starts any work.
We need to look at the building.
Because I do have concerns that we probably have this, but we may not have the logistics or the access for curbside and handicap. So
let me ask you about that. Is it because, all right, is it not kind of thing? That's not a major thing with ADA. It was not line of sight, because we've done that before. So,
we may be able to overcome it. I just want to make sure the facilities.
yeah,
But there is genuine interest in doing it.
yeah, I with, with facilities or whatever as well, I think that is an effort, so I want to make sure that it's worth the effort as far as the building is concerned before we do try to do that. So I'll give y'all a call and see what would be a good day for us to come out, go out there and look. We'll take the checklist, but we'll look at the building. And if the building, like I said, line of sight isn't so much a big deal as the abilities that need to be met. I mean, accessibilities that need to be met. So line of sight, I'm not going to worry about, but accessibilities, that is the issue.
And Mondays would be a good day because the golf course is closed. I think Mondays.
You were going to say something, Mr. Ford?
Potentially, how many folks are we talking about? Because if you're mailing out updated polling locations, I'm assuming soon, and if that's going to change, that means you have to mail it out again.
No, it wouldn't affect, because we have until June, that one could be another mailing that would not be, because the mailing that we're going to send doesn't affect those areas at all. If we were changing something in there, yeah, we'd have to wait, but this is Love House, this is, what's the other one, Chris?
USC Beaufort.
No, not USCB Beaufort yet. It's Love House, it's St. Gregory, and Love House, St. Gregory, and something else we did get.
But it's not going to be impacted.
No, it's not impacting this area yet. We will make, because I don't want to keep doing that because it costs a lot of money to mail those out. So when we do mail out again, I want to make sure that we have the different places already in place. Because hopefully we can have maybe 3 more places to do another mail out before June of next year. Because we're really trying to get these things spread out as much as possible. So, but this didn't affect this one at all. So we wouldn't worry about that. Some good news, we do have I don't know if you know where the barn is in New Riverside, Miss Alene and Mr. Backer, but we have been given approval. I have all the paperwork. Lindy sent me the paperwork, and I'm going to fill that out, and then we're going to go out and do the ADA on it. I've already driven out there and seen it. It's a beautiful, lots of parking.
That's the building at the new park.
Right.
Created.
Yeah.
I have a question, Wanda. What was the information that you provided to New Riverside that led to that positive response for us?
Talking to her on the phone, basically. I told her we were interested in using it for one of a new polling location because we had 4 at May River, and we wanted to move. And actually, that is 2C where that is, and 2F is right next to it. It's adjacent to it. So I told her we wanted to look at the possibility of using it as a new polling location. It would make it easier for their voters. And I think it is advantageous for their voters because I don't know if you've been over there, but the place has grown exponentially, and there are a ton of voters that are right there. So it'd make it a lot easier for them to go there than to drive all the way around to May River High School.
That was the talking point, you think,
Yeah,
that got
yeah,
the
yeah.
approval,
It-
was
it-
that it's better for the local voters?
Yeah, it is, and they're very good when they're feasible, the situation's feasible. They're very good about that. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, if we find something for 2F as well, we probably gonna. I mean, I'm looking down the line. We probably gonna need to do that because you just need to drive around there to get just a feel. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And the speed with which they build those things out there is amazing. So, but this is a very good move for that area because it does help them. There are 2 major apartment complexes right across the street that just got thrown up. And then there's a housing development maybe less than a mile on the same side of the street as it. And there's another housing development about another half mile beyond that. And all of those come up that way. Other than that, they would have been going to May River High School.
And also, Wendell, right down where the Dollar General is in Pritchardville, you know where the Dollar General is? We went down that road because that's where they have the Cornerstone Church. They bought, I don't know, over this 30-something acres, and they're putting a school in there. And the pastor said that the developer, they're going to start building houses, and that's why they moved from Bluffton, from where Nickel Pumper was there in Bluffton. That's their church. They haven't sold the church yet, but they wanted a school. So there will be even more homes in there next year. I can't remember the street. It's not too far from where all these other apartments that you already
Yeah.
see that is built.
Okay, so Wendell, could you, by the December board meeting, have a list of precincts that board members might help you to obtain polling locations in? We all agree it's beneficial to voters to have a voting place in their precinct, and board members may be able to, if we have all hands on deck trying to find every possible location, let's get the board members helping.
Yeah, we are going to revisit Shell Hall with the other information that we're going to try to get together as far as who's outside versus inside. So that was the other one that we're looking at. If anybody, and you do know you can access, everybody should have access to the political district map where you can see what the precincts are and what's actually in there, and it's off the county website. If you go in there, if you know the area, anything that would 4E and Bluffton 4E and Bluffton, whatever the 2 were that were in Bluffton High School, because we took them out of Hilton Head Christian, that's one of the biggest areas we need to try to find something in, or whatever. So if you know that area, anything around those, in that general area, if you can find something, that's what we're looking for too, as a big.
Which precinct?
It was Bluffton 4E, and whatever was the other one that was, it's another 4. I can't remember the other letter designation, but it's Bluffton 4E. 4D, I don't think it was, no, D is in Buckwalter.
Okay, well, great.
Yeah,
By December, if you could give us
Yeah.
the precincts where we can help, we'll do it.
Okay. Okay, on the 29th, Gene met with 843 TV. And Gene, if you want to just kind of give them an update on it.
So originally, 843 TV was trying to do an interview with us to talk about the November 4th election. Well, Hannah at Communications had said, well, we're already doing a segment if you want to be a part of it. So we opted to be a part of that segment, and I talked to Lisa from 843 TV, and I did a secondary segment that same day. So the initial segment was kind of a bird's eye view of elections, what's on the horizon, what's next year, poll workers. And then the second segment was specifically about early voting's almost over and the November 4th election and what voters can expect, how they can find their ballots, things like that. It was very positive. So she would like to set up something else in the first couple of months of the year to kind of put out the information about community forums that we are going to have.
Okay. We are, Gene and Vernon and I have been talking about scheduling the specific community forum and outreach next year. We plan on having 4 between January and April. But one of the things that we both agreed on, that we all agreed on, we actually going to title them Understanding the Primaries, because we know from past experience, people do not understand primaries and the things that go on. They don't understand we don't vote by party in South Carolina. We're not lined up by party. A lot of people don't understand. For instance, the case in point is the sheriff's race. Nobody understands how that works. Well, why can't I vote for sheriff? Well, if there's no opposition in the other party and you're voting in the other party, you can't vote for sheriff. So we wanted to have something that was geared more towards, because the primary is the first election coming up. And it is a huge primary. And ironically, he probably will have opposition on both sides this time, in his party and outside of his party. So people probably will get a chance to vote. But we wanted to make sure that there was a clarification of those kinds of things that they don't understand about elections. Because I think what the bulk of the questions we get are along those lines. And we know what the primary is coming up and it being so important next year that we wanted to dispel everything that could be misconstrued about what happens in a primary election or whatever.
The sheriff position is not a nonpartisan position?
No, it's partisan. And what happens is a lot of people want to vote for sheriff, but he's a Republican. So if they say, when we ask them which party primary you want to vote in, they say Democrat. But then they look, well, the sheriff's not on the list. We say, yeah, because he's on the Republican primary. You can't vote in that primary because you asked to vote in the Democratic.
It's because for the last few elections, both the incumbent and his
Opposition.
opposition,
have been in
they've
the
all
same
been in the
party.
same party. So if they're voting, if they choose, say, the Democratic ticket, they didn't see sheriff at that time because sheriff and all of the other candidates were all in the same party.
So what we want to do is explain that to people so that they don't have that question. And I think, and to be honest with you, and this was an aside, but similar, we will address it in the forums, but also something that we want to do next year is I've spoken about this before, is having little YouTube clips. They may be scripted, but working with BCTV in reference to something that a voter may not understand about the process. They can go and watch it on this YouTube thing and say, oh, now I understand what that's all about. One of the things that kind of woke us up was this election. We turned away so many people because they're not in the town. They don't understand why they didn't get to vote. And we said, well, if you're not in the township, this election doesn't affect you, or you're not part of this election. So things like that, we want to have like these little clips that'll be on our webpage, our Facebook page, and on YouTube where they can access it and look and see different questions that they don't understand, help them to understand, and don't think that somebody's trying to get over on them. They say, oh, well, why can't I vote? Well, you're not in the township, and this is a municipal election. It doesn't include you. And then maybe even explain the difference between, one of the biggest things is, do you pay city tax? No, well, then you're not in the city. That may be something that'll hit home for them to help them understand that this, So all we're trying to do is to make sure that we can dispel a lot of the questions that they have, not understanding processes. And that's what we want to focus on with those forums next year. We already have 2 they're not scheduled, but they're already requested because we told them we want to push it to the new year when things are more relevant for them, and that's with the Penn Center, Heritage area, and Carteret Street Church. So as soon as January hits, well, December, we'll start setting up the dates for those. But we definitely want to have 4 in conjunction with those or beyond those to get this information out there, because we think it's so important that the people in the county understand what the processes are about. Let's see.
We do still plan on having some between the primary and the general, though.
Yes, but this is the up front, this is our hard push to get that out there.
Doing the little videos is a great idea.
Okay. That would be a perfect venue.
We did one there last year, and they were already having an event, and they asked us to come. And they only gave me 10 minutes for my 30-minute presentation, but I got it done. And there were like 100 people there because it was already their event. So if we could do that again and give me a little more time, I think it would give more time for them to ask questions. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's one of that is one of the areas we probably, because they had the perfect venue for us to come in there. But I think I would like it, I would rather it be us, just so everything that needs to get out can get out at that point, not have to split it with something else. And once again, the other thing that was behind us, I think I told y'all last month, but we want, like, for instance, one of the biggest pushes we always tell everybody, hey, if you think that you're not going to be in the area during any of these elections, or you're sick or a caregiver, whatever the case may be, you want to vote absentee, January the 2nd, put it in. Well, we tell them that in June of this year, it doesn't register. So as soon as the year kicks in, every time we say it, oh, I can do that? Yeah, now, you can do it now. So that's one of the things we definitely want to push anybody that wants to do the absentee thing to go ahead and get that done as well. That's why we felt it was more feasible to do it in the new year versus trying to do it now and try to have them remember January, I can apply for an absentee ballot.
Because we had people calling last week wanting absentee for this election. Well, it's already past the deadline at that point.
Are you planning to do that little trifold piece that you did?
Yeah, we're going to have that, something along those lines. Also, I just lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me.
Do you do anything in the schools at all, in the high schools? Any kind of an education
Well,
program?
what we can do stuff in the school. What we normally do with the schools, the only input inside that we had with the schools was when we were getting poll workers. We went to the student poll workers or whatever, and June they're gone, or and we did have a few. We tried to go, but unless we're going in late March to the schools, nothing we do in there is going to be worth it, because they're all of a sudden everybody's getting ready at the end of the year and they don't.
It's sort of an education program.
We
how
can,
the
yeah,
process
we can talk
works
to the
and-
counselors. I have connection with all the counselors.
Okay.
And what I can do is set up, say, hey, for your juniors and seniors, well, not even just anybody, if y'all want to have a, what do you call it?
It's like civic.
Yeah,
education.
civics class thing about elections or whatever, and understanding elections, we'll be more than happy to come in there and set it up.
If you need help, let me know, because I know
Okay.
Dr. Rodriguez and Dick Geyer.
Any questions on any of this? Okay. All right, these are our poll worker class. Oh, that's what I was. These are the classes we have been setting up for our new poll workers for next year. This is the schedule we have so far. But I was telling Gene the other day, because I got a call during the election for one of my veteran clerks. And I said, we need to have some more hands-ons. People who are interested in becoming clerks and some of the clerks. We need to do more hands-on. So we want y'all to come in, and it's not the whole thing of being a poll worker. It's just those things that you as a clerk or you need to have more. We got to go back to the provisional ballot envelope, the equipment. Hopefully the MiFi situation will be dealt with, or something else will be better on the horizon. But those are the kinds of things we want to make sure we do starting in the spring. Definitely more hands-on, because I see it, I look at it, I listen to them, and the questions that were coming, I'm like, y'all know this, and apparently they've forgotten.
So, Wendell, the SEC had the special poll clerk training a month or two ago, and I know not every poll clerk can attend that, but were there any takeaways or training materials that came out of that could be leveraged for our own hands-on training with clerks?
We probably do more than they do. I hate to say it, and I don't want to be negative towards the state, but I know what we have done in the past, and based on what when I'm talking with Shaquilla and what she got, it was more of the opportunity to meet other clerks and learn, what their processes are, which may not be like Beaufort's, but just discuss with people that know the same thing that I do, and find out how they do certain things. But
The
as far
bottom line
as,
is, it's
I
not going,
wouldn't-
it's not going to benefit us for future clerk training here in Beaufort County.
I won't begrudge us sending our people. Of course, once again, we don't know. They're not together right now. I wouldn't send anybody up there. They're not together right now. And the waiting list is really long already, as it is with the state clerk class. But until they get what they need to get straight up there, it doesn't help us to send our people up there right now for
Yeah, I
that.
was more interested in things that were learned there or training materials that could be used here, because we cannot send everybody up there.
Right. What we have found over the years is that things that we teach our people in our hands-on classes were always more intense and in-depth and specific to Beaufort than anything they would give them up there. So we want to focus on what we do here and make sure that they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing right. Anything that they would teach them up there, we've already taught them. We just want to make sure we enhance it down here at our level, which I think is more important.
Wendell, I got a
Yes, ma'am.
question. How many clerks did we send?
One ended up going.
Okay, one. Did that clerk have any handout that maybe you and you guys, you and Jean, could probably look it over and share it with, or to see if it's, like I say, if it's worth the effort?
I'll ask her, did she bring anything back? I didn't ask her, did you bring anything back? I just asked her, how was it when you were up there? And her, I think we talked about it last board meeting, her response was it was just great to be able to see other clerks and see what they do and to learn about whatever. Their excuse for us not being able to audit the class was they didn't want the clerks to feel hindered about what they wanted to say because one of their people was there. That was the excuse they used for us not being able to go and sit in the class. Because all we wanted to do was sit in the back of the room and see what they were teaching them.
Well, what I'm hearing is that the Beaufort County clerk training is more intensive than what the SEC provides.
It definitely is.
So I'm hearing there's not a lot of benefit for us to rush and send any more clerks up to the SEC.
Right now, it isn't. And it won't be open. I don't think it'll be open before February or March of next year anyway, because, yeah, but she already had that filled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she already had that filled. So I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think there's really a benefit. I would prefer us training our people here than the state training our people on stuff that because there's specifics that we ask for that the state would never know. And I think that's more important.
Wendell and Jean, the only thing I can make a suggestion, and I don't know if it would help, is, from experience myself, is that before the election, if you were able to rent like the technical school, they have that classroom there that is to get all the clerks in there, prior to the election for a type of refresher. Because I know a lot of times when you take the class early and the early voting is months later, you have a tendency to forget. Because I know I used to get calls and say, geez, I forgot what we're supposed to do here or here. So, if it was possible to get them like one class on a Saturday morning for 2 hours, just to get all the clerks together under one roof.
What we have done in the past last couple of years has been a thing of having the clerk section at the end of the actual poll workers class. I think with the hands-on, it's just a thing of, we can look at maybe having not intensive, but a major clerk refresher right before early voting.
You guys do a
Because
great
most
job.
of the classes are right before early voting, but maybe a clerk-specific class with just clerks and not staying after or something that would just maybe things we want to add. And I think with these primaries, we probably do with these primaries coming up. But there's going to be a lot of things people are going to try to throw at them, and we want to make sure that they feel comfortable and prepared when the people do. So that is a consideration for this year. Next year when we get started with that.
And not just the, I guess, theoretical, talking about what do you do when someone does this or that.
Right.
But literally, let them set up a precinct.
Yeah, well, that's what we used to do.
Literally,
We used to do
walk
that.
in, go over to the warehouse, get their equipment, walk in, what would be delivered to be in the room, and have them set it up from start to finish, and emphasize before they start, the things that have been, I know like a lot of people seem to have trouble with the MiFi. You said that I can see you rolling your eyes that they did. But, just different things that you can walk around and critique. Did you do this right? Help them remember. Because there's nothing, for me, there's nothing like actually doing it as opposed to hearing about it.
That's what, in our hands-on, we used to, in the hands-on, some classes was
haven't in a
like,
while.
some classes when it was all clerks, we have them broke out in groups of 5, depending on how many we had in there. And we would say, all right, just open up the precinct. And then I would give them, I actually had Vernon was a blind man. And you'd be surprised, none of them ever worked with a blind person before. And Vernon was a blind man, he'd come in and he had his ID card and everything, and he came in and they were just sitting there because they didn't know what to do. And I'm like, he's a voter, what do you do? And so, maybe going back to the thing of actually setting up, acting it through. And all of them are all clerks. They're not any poll managers, they're all clerks. And they were struggling. And we were like, I wonder what's going on for real if y'all don't see this. So, maybe going back to a route where we do have them set it up, run it, deal with the issues that'll come up, throw monkey wrenches out there and see how they affect it. And we're standing here, so, when we get that look like what's supposed to happen now? And then we'd give them a little hint. And then they say, oh, yeah, that's right. So we definitely need to go back to the hands-on clerk
All right.
situation.
All right, why don't we move on, Wendell? Thank
Okay.
you.
These are all the classes, once again, and we'll determine when we put in those hands-on. But once again, we're going to do all of these here because all the equipment is here and it's always better to have it here. All right? I think that's it.
We have, like, suggestions that we want you and Jean to appear in front of a group, where we just email Jean and just say, hey, we have a group of 25.
Yeah, let me
No,
know.
Wendell, 'cause-
Yeah, let me know.
Wendell, okay.
Because since he's the deputy right now, he has to approve that.
If you have a group that's interested, please.
Okay.
I know there are groups that I'm about to reach out to and say, hey, we'd like to come out there and talk to you or whatever. I definitely want to get in touch with Hampton Lake because it has a big area and there's a lot of people out there. And what we find when we reach those groups, we get co-workers too. They say, oh, can I be a poll worker? Or what do I need to do? So we try to address that at the same time.
The minimum sized group, that would be worth coming out for.
I think 25, like he said. I think that's. But yeah, if you can get 25, I think that's worth us coming out there and doing it because I'm not going to say it's a waste of time, but just to be efficient, I think it makes a lot more sense.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, before you go into anything else, I just heard from Yamasee, they certified their results. And they said, for council member Jay Cook, he has 112. Stephen Hansen has 97. Lori Goodwin Poster has 172. Jerry Thompson, 43. Alfred Washington, 111. There were 8 write-ins. Total votes cast, 543. So they certified the town council, the winners, as Jay Cook with 112. Lori Goodwin Poston as 172. For mayor, Ben B.T. Fennell had 107. Libby Holloway had 62. Colin Moore had 150. There was 1 write-in. Votes total cast 320. So they certified the mayor as Colin Moore.
Yes.
Having read this, it means there will be no runoff.
Okay, that's great. And just to be clear, that includes all of Beaufort County's votes,
Yes.
those numbers you read off.
I am under the assumption of yes.
Yes, it did.
Since
It's
this is their
112, the first
certified.
111.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, Liz. You can sleep in peace.
Okay, any other questions? Oh,
Ashton?
yes, ma'am.
Thank both of you for the good job on that 843 TV. That's very good. So that means we are moving on up into newer heights. And the other thing is, I remember years ago, Wendell, when the clerks, you had all of them to actually set up, but then balance,
Yeah,
reconcile.
reconciliation. Oh, yeah, all that's part of it.
Yeah, and I think we,
And they
We
did
should
that
do
this
that.
last year too.
yeah, do that because that will help them to get closed properly and be out of there. Yeah. In a timely
Yeah, we're gonna sit
manner.
down and develop what that hands-on class. We have the past information on the hands-on, because it was a specific class. And, we're gonna sit down and update it to fit what we're doing now and everything.
Thank you, thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, next on the agenda is an executive session under South Carolina Code Section 3470A1 to engage in discussions incident to employment, appointment, or compensation of a person regulated by a public body. In this case, a discussion of candidates for the position of the Board of Voter Registration and Elections of Beaufort County Director. May I have a motion to move into executive session? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. so, meeting is called back into general session. It's 12:37. There were no votes taken in executive session and no matters arising out of executive session that need to be discussed. So next on the agenda is closing comments. First closing comment is a question, just to re-ask or confirm. Wendell, if you would please research the definition of a meeting for board members to attend meetings and the issue if you miss 3 consecutive meetings. So the question is whether the canvas meeting and the board meeting today qualify as 2 separate meetings. And if we have a hot wash meeting, is that counted as a meeting? And if we were to have the hot wash and the board meeting on the same day, is that 2 meetings? So if you could just please confirm that for us. So November 4th election, I think from the Board of Elections perspective, it was very successfully executed. So I'd like to thank all the staff that worked hard to get that done, and the board members who attended to their assigned precincts on that day. There were some minor technical issues that were not in the control of our Board of Elections. So I think everything went as well as it could go. Also, I'd like to thank all the poll workers. As I understand it, the poll clerks and poll managers worked very professionally for this election. Were courteous with voters, especially in Bluffton, it seems, where we had, and also up in, for the embassy election, where there were a lot of turnaways from people who didn't understand they were not in the municipalities. So thank you all for that. Next is item 11, announcements. Thank you. And I'd like to discuss when we have our December board meeting. So I propose that we have a hot wash meeting following the board meeting in December, and propose that we do it on Wednesday, December 10, or Wednesday, December 17, depending upon availabilities.
Will this be the meeting and the hot wash on the same day?
Yes.
Okay.
And when you talk about definition of meetings, does that also include things like
Well, in my opinion, it doesn't include committee meetings, but Wendell, if you could just add that to your
Let's check that out.
clarification.
Because, Jim? Possibly a finance committee or a facilities committee meeting before it, just to not, I'd rather be here a long time than come many times.
Right, I believe yes, but we'll clarify
Yeah.
that.
It was already.
Yeah, I think that was the board meeting originally scheduled at the beginning of the year.
Correct. So we talking about changing it?
No, if everybody's available the 17th, we'll stick with that. Is that good for everyone?
You want to do the hot wash that day after the
Yes.
board?
Right after
After
it.
the board meeting.
What time do you think we'll have it?
What's it on the calendar for? It's
2 o'clock.
Probably
2
2.
o'clock, yeah.
So
So
they want to raise it. I mean,
start it earlier.
Yeah.
So why don't we start at 1 o'clock?
Okay, it's good for me.
Okay.
Iwashi?
Yeah, we'll do the 1 PM on the 17th for the board meeting, and then followed by a hot wash meeting. I guess the hot wash meeting needs to be publicly noticed, so we do need a specific date. We can't roll right into it. I don't expect a lot of issues at that board meeting, so why don't we plan on the board meeting from 1 to 2, and then the hot wash at 2 o'clock?
Hot washes for this recent election, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, in that, what format do you want that, or like, will you send some, like, what's the format? Do you want to send us some things for us to look into, or how you want to deal with that?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'd like all the board members to send me their hot wash issues
Action then, right?
from the election. We're just talking about the November 4th election. So if you could send me all of your hot wash issues, and I will compile those and get them to the staff, just as we've done with prior hot wash meetings. So, it's better to do this while it's fresh in everybody's minds. So could I ask for everybody to send me their hot wash issues by next Thursday? That's the 13th.
You're gonna get mine Friday.
Okay. So board members send me hot wash issues by the 13th, and then the following Monday, what is that, the 17th? I'll send that out to the staff.
Gene and Wendell, I had already asked some of the clerks that I was working with to send any of their observations.
Yeah, Carmen,
It's a copy you, so you
Yeah.
probably already started seeing some feedback.
And please include, when you send those hot wash issues, if you have suggestions for hands-on clerk training topics or poll manager training topics, include that in your hot wash issues, please. Okay, anybody else have any announcements? Comments? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Eileen, second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay, adjourn, 12:44.